As many of you already undoubtedly know, Hickok 45 is doing a series of videos on concealed carry, legal carry, that is, and questions you should ask yourself when you're doing it, and other aspects of legally carrying a firearm. The one video I was looking at about questions you should ask yourself when you're legally carrying for the first time was particularly interesting to me, and there's lots of questions a person asks themselves, like how am I going to carry it? Am I going to be comfortable carrying it? Am I comfortable with using it if I have to? There's tons of questions, and most of them are questions that everyone asks, but you really kind of have to figure out for yourself. But one question I don't see asked very often, which was one of the biggest problems for me when I first started carrying, and I've had a gun pretty much for, like I said, the last 20 years, and I've been concealed carrying for half dozen years, plus some now. And one of the things that gave me the most issue when I first started carrying was the question I had to ask myself, which was, am I willing to walk away from a fight? Am I willing to walk away when someone is threatening me? Because, you know, just because you're armed doesn't mean you start acting like you're invincible. It doesn't mean you start acting like you're a tough guy. In fact, it's the opposite. In situations where before I would have stood my ground and said, bring it on, you're going to kick my ass, let's see if you can do it. And I was, no, I'm not a tough guy by any means. I mean, I'm 6'1", I'm 220 pounds. I can defend myself if I have to. I'm trained to fight. I know how to fight. I was brought up fighting. I was raised in a very poor area of Appalachia, and I was raised very poor. You fought to keep what you had. Luckily, I don't have that lifestyle anymore, and I've gone kind of soft, but I still kind of had the attitude of, if someone wants to step up to me, I'm going to give them everything I got. And once I started carrying, I had to say to myself, I have to step that back. I can't let things get to blows, because you never know when blows might turn into gunshots. So I would have to walk away from conflicts. I would have people say something to me off color or vaguely threatening at a pool table. I'd have to walk away. I couldn't let it escalate to a battle of words and a fist fight. I have had to walk across the street before to the other side of the street to avoid someone on this side of the street that was being a loudmouth to me. And I've had to act like I don't hear them, I don't care what they say. And that's the mature thing to do anyway, but I was never so good at it before. And when you're carrying, it's more important than ever that you do not allow things to escalate. Because if you ever end up in a courtroom for shooting someone, and if any time the jury can say, why didn't you walk away? Why did you escalate that? You knew you had a gun on you, and you knew the end potential of that argument could be you killed someone. Why didn't you just walk away? You were in no danger if you walked away. Now, I'm not saying you should allow people to step all over you, you should allow people to threaten you, you should allow people to ever harm you or a loved one. But I am saying you can't let your pride turn a disagreement into a fist fight, into a gunfight. You just can't let it happen. It's just one of the worst things you could ever do when you're carrying. It is better to just avoid the potential. And that was something I had a big issue when I first started carrying. I just wasn't good at that. I was very good at snappy comebacks and, you know, just challenging. I would meet tit for tat when someone wanted to get aggressive with me. I could become very aggressive very fast, and I had to rein that all in. So one of the questions I think people should ask themselves when they're concealed carrying is, am I willing to walk away? And if you can't say that you are, if you for 1 second, if you're one of those people out there right now and goes like, I would never let someone do something like that to me regardless, or just because I'm carrying doesn't mean I can't defend myself. If you can't see the distinction between really defending yourself and just feeling invincible, or just feeling like you have to defend your pride, then maybe you might want a second thought, to give a little bit of a second thought to that carrying a deadly weapon on you, because it may not end up well. That's just my own personal opinion. I'm sure, and I think I said, I'm not saying let people walk all over you, I'm not saying let people hurt you, but I'm saying avoid potential when you don't have to be in that situation.